Boom.
Vultures circling above, they're all in a piece.
We're here.
My name.
Oh, man. My girl was listening. I have so much to talk about today. We're here. That's what I say every time. Yeah, man. We're here. Got to make sure I'm talking to that mic. Talking to that mic right there. I feel Blackity Black 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 today. You know, a lot of empowerment today. Last week felt like absolute dog shit, but I got a lot of that was really well received. That podcast last week, people really dug the vulnerability. You know, when we talk about authenticity, everybody's talking about it. Everybody's trying to be authentic. Everybody's trying to be authentic. Stop trying to be authentic. Just be your fucking self, dude. Just be yourself, you know. Shout out to, can you see the shirt? I think it says, being different is a fucking blessing. Shout out to Classic Man Barber, Ritual Barbershop. Shout out to him. That's actually really good merch. Really super dope quality. And the message is fucking dope. Be a weirdo. We're going to talk about that today. You know, I feel like I'm an odd fella. I feel like I'm an odd fella. I feel like like I said a couple weeks ago, I look for other people's idiosyncrasies. Maybe that's the word. Maybe it's not. I feel like it fits. But I look for other people's because I have so many neuroses. You know, I have so many like weird tics. I bite my nails and I'm up in the middle of the night, and like I have all these weird things that I do that make me feel different. And so I look at other people and I'm looking for theirs. I'm like, what's your weird thing? Like I was with my friend, and she has like a tick that and I pointed. We've talked about it. I pointed it out, and she was a little embarrassed. But I was like, you don't know that I demolish my fingernails. If you've probably seen on the podcast, but when I'm constantly hiding them, in life, and it's just like weird. So I have like weird tics. I'm looking at other people's. And there's so many people I'm so impressed with when they don't have those. I'm like, wow, you're so normal. You're so normal. It's interesting. My girl's super normal. Just hella normal. Just, you know, she has her stuff, but she's just a normal person, you know, which she balances it out. You know, she balances me out. Need that duality in my life. Back to the 7 hermetic principles, you know, as above, as so below. You know, me and her have that yin and yang. People say yang, but it's yang sometimes. Yeah, man, it's about duality. But I look for other people's neurosis so I can feel like a human. Last week was tough, man. Last week was a difficult week. Last week was a difficult week, and I called my friend yesterday and was like, do you ever feel like, is it challenging? Because she deals with a similar issue. And I was like, is this, like, how do you feel about it? Like, what do you think about it? And she said, it's harder, mental health struggles. And this is, shout out to people struggling with mental health stuff, because it's harder than dealing with sobriety. It's harder than sobriety. Especially when you're trying to be normal. You're trying to be, don't want anybody to tell. You don't want anybody to see your eyes are weird. You don't want people to look at your nails. You don't want people to hear you talking too fast, or, you know what I mean? You don't want people to notice, but it's challenging. But we made it. We made it through. So when I say I feel Blackity Black Black, we'll talk about some empowerment. There's this Toby Nigwe guy. I just found out about him. I'm sure he's not new, but he's new to me. And he did put out new music. It's called the Pandemic Project. It's 6 songs, and I've been listening to it today, and it's all morning, over and over and over again. just making me feel proud. Then I watched old Dave Chappelle special. I'm just loving this black shit today. I think we talk about, it's been weeks since I talked about the race thing, and I don't really want to jump all the way in it because it was kind of exhausting to talk about all the time. But so much of my identity has had like weight, like it's been weighted. I've worn it like a weighted vest, So there's civil rights movement that we're having, and there's black people. Says a lot of black people feel liberated and in love with their blackness today, and feel open about being in love with their blackness. And I feel like that right now. I feel like blackity black motherfucking black. You know what I mean? Just feeling it. And talk about empowerment. It's gotta love who you are. It's hard to. And obviously on this podcast, I talk about having struggles with who I am as a person, because I have this duality of living two lives, but to be honest, to be honest and to be real in this moment, I'm also very proud of myself. I'm very proud of myself the way I show up in life today. I'm a active participant in my family. I raise my son and actively participate in his life. I'm a self-motivated person. I wake up and I've been up since 3:30, went to the gym at 4:30, worked out, took a shower, meditated already, had breakfast, had an omelet, come in here, do a podcast. No one had to tell me to do any of that. No one had to tell me. No one had to suggest it. That's what the fuck I do. And I'm proud of that. I'm proud that I just do shit like that. Proud of those things. I'm proud of the friend that I'm able to be. I want people, what someone said to me? She said, I make recovery look cool. I make being sober look cool. I like that. I make it look cool. And I think I make it look honest, because so much of my recovery has not been linear. And so much of my recovery has gone through so many phases of, dogma and shame and growth. And every recovery is like that, I think. Even injury recovery, it's not always, you break your leg and you can walk right away. There's setbacks, setbacks or setups. That's something, it's like prosperity church shit right there. But I'm proud of who I am today, and I want to tell you to be proud of who you are. Be proud of who you are. And that's hard to do. It's hard to do when I work with other men, mentor, whatever you want to call it, sponsor, work with other men. One of the things that we do before we start doing the fact finding about the work on ourselves, I say, someone did this to me. She said, write 20 good things about yourself. Do you know how hard that is for me? 20 good things about myself. I couldn't even, there's times in my life I couldn't name 5, So if you I encourage everybody, take a few minutes and write 10 things that you like about yourself, and be proud of who you are in this world, walk in it. That's one thing that a pastor friend of mine told me. He was like, Eric, you have promise over your life. Just walk in that shit. And I kind of have that. We've talked about that on this podcast, that delusional belief in yourself. Just believe in yourself and say, like, I'm going to do it anyway, and just walk in it. Boom. Just fucking strut in that shit. Be confident in who you are, But then there's both. Then you could be insecure at who you are. You can feel unsafe. that there's a time and a space for that too. You know, I talk to people about food, and they said, what happens when I want to when I cheat on my plan, which I don't even like the word cheat. I don't even like that the connotation that has. But they ask, what do they do? And my response is the same for every client. Be kind to yourself. Just be kind to yourself. Don't say fuck it, and don't beat yourself up because you didn't execute something perfectly. And that's why, and I'm going to talk about this. I'm going to make some videos after this podcast. But the reason, I think, my theory is the reason everybody doesn't get in shape is because it is not linear. And I'm going to explain, I'm going to do a 1.5-minute video on explaining that recovery and healing is not linear. In my fitness life, in my fitness career, watching people go through a transformative process, around 4 or 5 weeks of a changing of behavior, there's disruption. I've seen so many people cry, so many people, now they're not answering their phone. Now they're not texting back. Okay. I'm keeping you accountable. I'm reaching out to you. I'm the kind of coach that I want to annoy you. I'm going to blow your phone up. I'm going to text you and be like, where you at? I'm here. I'm here to support you. I'm not going to, because there's 2 ways to look at it. If someone you're coaching or mentoring or sponsoring doesn't call you, you can be like, fuck it, you don't want it that bad. That's a very masculine way to approach it, I think. It's like, send your kid out like, oh, you want to fuck up? Go be homeless. You know what I mean? Like, that's it's a very masculine way to approach it, I think. But that's not what I do. People pay me to motivate them. So I want to annoy them. And I do that for a couple of weeks, and then I stop, and then every month or so, I'll reach out and say, hey, how you doing? Just checking in. Just want to see how I can support you. I'm here for you, It's hard to change behaviors. It's hard to change behaviors, man. You just heard that. Let me just swallow. It's hard to change behaviors, but I've seen so many people at week 4, 5, and 6 cry or just have an emotional shift, and that's where breakthrough happens. Healing is not linear. That's what this podcast is called. Healing isn't linear. And I think we need to know that. We need to accept that. And when we do accept that, and when we expect that, it allows us to break through that. When we leave the expectation of perfection out of our psyche, right? When we say, like, this is not going to go exactly how I planned it. Get rid of that. Get rid of that. Expect for there to be peaks and valleys. Expect for there to be wins and losses. And celebrate your wins. And with your losses, reevaluate your losses. Reevaluate, reassess. As I've said before, alliteration, bars. Blah, 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 blah. But yeah, you can, when get rid of that expectation of perfection, of living. That doesn't mean everybody's healing process is in a straight line. Some people's is. Some people it's I started this thing and I got better. But I don't think that's for the average person. I think a safe advice is to say that it may not go the way you want it to all the time, but you keep going. And that's what my job is. I am, professional, keep going, and that sounds very, all the other stuff you've heard me talk about, all the other stuff that I do, like the tangible things, but how important that professional keep going. 50% of the population will be clinically obese in the next 10 years. There is a need for someone to say, keep going. there is a need for it. It seems sometimes I get upset, not upset, but like I feel like the market that I'm in is so saturated. It's because I live sometimes my avatar on Instagram and I forget about the real world, but in the real world, people are sick. In the real world, people are not, super fit all the time, and they're having a hard time staying healthy in the real world. People need someone to say, keep going, it's okay. People need someone to say healing is not linear, and relationships aren't linear. I think people have a really hard time with that. I think that's why marriages don't work. I don't know. My relationship, I know failed relationships. I don't know good ones. But, I think people do. I think people hit dry spots, and I think people hit rough spots, and they cheat, or they stray, or they disengage, and then now you're not connected. And if you're not actively trying to connect with your partner, you drift away. Maybe her values change. Maybe your values change. Maybe you start focusing on your business more. Maybe she starts focusing on the kids. Maybe vice versa. So now the things that are important to each of you are separate entities, not one entity. I try to keep my girl invested and involved in what I do. I try to keep her involved, Relationships aren't always good, man. My relationship is not, if I'm thinking about it right now, I don't feel so great about it today, But that's the season. There's seasons, You make a commitment to be in a thing, and you get through seasons, That's why people have a hard time with that, understanding that there's seasons. It's not always the most exciting thing in the world to be a parent. Sometimes that's the ultimate sacrifice. It's not the most exciting shit ever. You learn to appreciate being a parent. You know what I mean? You learn to soak in that, and that's another thing I would suggest people do. And actually, let me double back. When I talked to my friend about struggling with her mental health stuff, I asked her, if she has a hard time, and, she rebutted with a question. She said, would you trade in all those hypomanic, or almost orgasmic positive feelings, positive experiences for monotony? And no. A lot of people see my neurosis. A lot of people see me and my weird behaviors. But regular people don't feel the orgasmic euphoria I just feel, so genetically, and this is on Dr. Carly's podcast, I have a genetic predisposition to having a hard time regulating dopamine and serotonin biologically. You can get that tested, by the way. So find out that stuff. So for me, the way I would equate that is I feel immensely good when I enjoy things. When I feel good about something, it is ecstatic. But my point is, when things are good in seasons that are positive, soak in that bitch. Bathe in it. It's hot. Soak in the ocean of that positive experience. Because seasons change. And it gets hard. And the perspective of those positive experiences motivate you, because the season's going to get back to that place if you stay aligned. You're not always madly in love with your partner. Hopefully there's mad respect. Hopefully there's mad appreciation, adoration, but you're not always, we're so in love. I don't think, there's some people who are like that, right? You hear those stories. But you don't hear that many of those stories. And anybody who says like that's what they, if that's what you think you're gonna get, you're tripping. You're tripping. Like that's, if you get that, you are very lucky. Where you're just, for 70,000 years we were madly in love. Now we're going to heaven to be madly in love. Sick, dude, if you have that. But for, I think, the average person, you're not always fucking balls deep in love, you know? But especially having children, I love my partner differently now. I love her as a mom. You know, I love her as a mother. And when you love a woman as the mother of your children, that is, I'll shoot you. I'll kill you. She's always going to come first. She is always going to come first. She's the foundation of the household. She's the foundation of the household. When mom's not doing good, the whole house is not doing good. You got to protect Mama Bear at all costs. So you're not always madly in love on top of each other. And to be in a relationship when you have children, that takes effort. And I think people don't understand that. They don't try to be in love with each other. And that's where people like quit. They're like, they stop trying to be in love with each other, you know. But love Mama Bear because she holds it down. She, you know, women just naturally do more. That where my mom's at podcast with Christina P. She did one with what the fuck is his name? He's the shit. Forgot his name. Fuck, man. He's a comic that I really enjoy. But he talked about it like it's calm when it's just me. Like last Friday, it was just me and Micaiah, me and the little one in San Diego, and it was calm. It was chill as fuck because he's like, I know this piece of shit is not gonna like do what I need him, what I want him to do. He's like, this lazy motherfucker is gonna take a nap while I sure did. It was time for him to take a nap, and I laid down and I was like, I'm gonna lay down with him, played some music, and I fell asleep. And guess what? I woke up 20, maybe 2 hours later. I don't know. Let's say 20 minutes. Let's say 20 minutes, maybe 3 hours later. I woke up and he's on his iPad in the living room watching a show. He's like, this loser isn't gonna do anything. But when mom's around, it's like, fuck, blah, 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 because they know mom is gonna they regress. They regress when mom is around. They regress and they know mom is gonna take their time to, like my son, when it's time to eat, when it's just me and him, he eats. He eats. He's like, okay, like I know he's gonna be hella mad. He's gonna be annoyed as fuck if I don't eat this food. But when mom's around, she's like, I don't want it. No. He's doing that right now. He's not eating. He's a good eater generally. He'll eat like avocado. He'll eat ceviche. I want him to, because our oldest is very finicky about eating because his mom is. His mom like, I don't eat tomatoes. I don't eat this. I don't eat that. So our oldest son is like that too. He's like, I don't eat this. I don't eat that. It's like, oh, don't teach him that. Teach him to be picky. It sucks. He's going to miss out on so much in life because like food's one of the best things. You're going to miss out on so much food if you just are picky from a young age. But our youngest is usually a good eater. But when mom's around, he's like, I don't want it. No. Because he regresses when mom's around. Because he knows this loser isn't going to placate. And I'll look him in his face. I look him in his face and I say, we are not doing this. All that crazy stuff, we are not doing it, bro. Tell him that. Not happening with me. And he's like, okay, Daddy. You know what he said to me? Daddy, I've been a good boy today. I said, you sure have, bruh. You sure have. You want to go get salt and straw? You've been a good dude. Good sleeper. You took a nap. We on the way to the beach, fell asleep, took a nap for like 4 hours. But a nap for 4 hours with a baby? Shout out to the parents who know a 4-hour nap with a 3-year-old is like Christmas. But he knows he's just not gonna He's just not gonna. It's not. I'm not playing. We're not doing this. With mom does it. Mom plays into it. I'm like, I don't do this shit. But original point is, seasons change. Mad things rearrange. Shout out to Lauryn Hill. If you know, you know. You probably don't know. You probably don't know. I have great taste in music. I know everybody thinks they have great taste in music. I'm a hip hop fan. I know about it. If it comes out, I'm on it. If it came out, I'm on it. If it's the essence of hip hop, it's the original. If it's the backpack, if it's the boom bap, the Brother Ali's, the Jedi mind tricks, the cages, and the Necros, and then all the way to the new J. Cole stuff, and the Toby stuff, and the Joey Badass stuff, and then the old stuff, the old Nas stuff, and it's my shit, bro. It's my shit. I love it. You know what I feel about hip hop? And I've always wanted to talk about hip hop on this podcast and didn't have a way to segue, but look, we just created one. It takes me about 15, 20 minutes to get flowing on this. So if you listen to this, it's always dry in the beginning because I'm just figuring it out. I don't take notes. I'm just talking to myself. Whatever's on my mind, I don't take notes. I probably should have notes. That's why some podcasts are 20 minutes. Some of them are 45 minutes, 50 minutes, because I don't take notes. It depends on what I'm feeling. But I've always thought about, like, how do I do a podcast about hip hop without just saying, here's the hip hop podcast, but we're in it now. Do you know what I feel about hip hop music? And I don't think a lot of white people have this. And well, some like Bruce Springsteen and like Leonard Skinner. I think people feel, and like country music, people feel it culturally. Like, I've been the Stagecoach, and there's a culture. People are dressed a certain way. People are, it's a culture, drinking beer and like camping out. It's a culture. So, but I still don't feel like they have like that deep down. But with hip hop, with black music, with blues, with jazz, with funk, with original rock and roll, with hip hop, there's so much emotion. This Toby shit, play this. Toby Nigwe, the Pandemic Project. Play Make It Home. And that is black love music. That is in your heart. That is in your bones. That is not just the guitar. That is not just someone playing the guitar. This is our culture expressed artistically. This is our struggle, our slavery. This is our liberation. This is our origin as people expressed in music. Hip hop is, and I don't think any other music does that. And then if you look at like the soul music, the music of the 60s, of the 50s and 60s, and the 70s, the Bill Withers, I forget names right now. That sucks. Makes me sound like I don't know, but I'm just fucked up right now. The Marvin Gayes, all those, the Ray Charles, the Stevie Wonders, fuck, man. I can't remember. It doesn't matter. But during that time, a lot of this music comes in such a hectic time of civil unrest, which makes this Toby project so cool, because in the beginning there's an IGTV video of him playing this song, and he says, during this civil rights movement, this is the music that the civil rights movement has produced. And that's what hip black music does. It's produced in this powder keg, and it's so much soul and so much of our essence and culture in it, which makes it so powerful. That's why, for me, I tell people, hip hop is my birthright. It's part of who I am as a human. It's not just the music I like. It's part of my culture. I dress the way I do. It's the way I dress in hip hop clothes. Like not hip hop clothes, but it's part my style, the language. It's part of who we are as people. So it's more than just music. And I don't think any other music is cultural. I like country music, but it's not built in a civil rights movement. It's not built in that pain. So it's not intrinsic. You know, my girl, I'll be driving and when listening to music with the kids, I get goosebumps. I have physical, visceral reactions to hip hop music. And that's my ode to hip hop. I could talk about it all day. I love it so much. It's so important to me. And sometimes it keeps me going. Yesterday, got on the 101 up Encinitas, through Solana Beach, up Encinitas, looking at this. It's an extension of the PCH, looking at the ocean, just cruising, listening to Rod Wave, emotional music, emotional hip-hop music, dark stuff. It talks about not trusting people. It talks about vulnerability and having a hard time being vulnerable and having a hard time making friends and connecting with people and having so much trauma and destruction in life. And that resonates with me because I struggle with all those things as well. So I got all the windows down, cruising up the 101, just jamming to hip hop, man. I love it. But maybe the name of the podcast may change. Not hip hop though, but Seasons Change. That might be the name of the podcast. Soaking it. That might be the name of the podcast. But the point is, Seasons Change. Soaking it when it feels good. When it feels good, it should be masturbatory. It should be orgasmic when things are good, because they're not always like that. Healing isn't linear. That was the name. You know what this podcast is? Mental masturbation. That's what this podcast is. It's just talking and thinking for the sake of thinking and talking. You know, just pondering why, pondering who gives a fuck? You know, who gives a fuck what I'm thinking? Mental masturbation just feels good. I put this cup, how much closer to the edge can I put this cup? Should I just hang it off the side? Get your life. But we're going to end it with this. Seasons change, man. Mad things rearrange. Shout out to Lauryn Hill. Blup, blup, blup. When things are good, you soak in it, own it, be proud of yourself. My friend talks about pride in reverse. I hate myself. I'm the worst. Telling yourself the worst. If you're the worst, you got to give yourself credit for the best of you. That's, like if you're mad, he brought this up. He was like, if you're mad at your dad, his harms, if you're mad at the people who have harmed you, be joyous of the positive impact they've had on you. Be equal. That duality. That's what it's about, dude. That book is so good. It's so good because the Hermetic principles, it's so good because it clearly depicts the duality of life. But when you apply it to life, it is just the way it is. It's perspective. Enjoy, soak in the good days because there will be bad days. And there will be. Fact, last week was a bad week for me. This week, I woke up feeling blackity, black, black, proud of myself. Seasons change. And today, I'm going to own all that. And I'm going to be productive. And I'm going to connect with people. I'm going to do this podcast and feel good about it. And, conquer the day and just be in this space. Because it may be a difficult day tomorrow. So, I'll end it with this, just soak in it. Masturbate in the joy. Masturbate in joy. That should be the podcast. The name, Masturbate in Joy. That's clickbait, right? But we're out of here.
Vultures circling above, they're all in a piece, but they don't even know my name. Won't get even train. Cloudy, ride to the airport, gotta get right for the plane. Custom, smell like kush. Wifey hand in the tish. Yes, and I got no shame. Never. Some line to shine. With a broke, you got no game. Waking up next to the skats. Can't go home to a dame. Nah, tell themselves they're the same. Really though, who could they blame? Now I don't blame them either. They just wanna play the game and they're eager still.